Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. And once you're done, leave a comment down below and I just might end up responding. While professional wrestling is presented as people doing their best to put their opponents down for the 3 count, in reality, it's a tightly choreographed sport of people working in tandem to perform difficult multi-man spots your average Joe or D Wicket definitely could not handle. When you step inside of that ring, it's not just you that you're watching out for, but your opponent even more so than yourself, as wrestlers are doing their very best to avoid accidental injury. Sometimes they come real close. I'm D Wicket from Watch WWE, and here's 10 times wrestlers saved wrestlers from injury. Number 10. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho apparently ranks right up there in terms of people you would like to be wrestling. He's a master at in-ring placement, always knows where he is in relation to everything around him, and has a keen sense of awareness. This all came in handy during a SmackDown match pitting Jericho against Jeff Hardy, as Hardy made his way over to the ropes to perform his Whisper in the Wind maneuver, but slipped backwards. Had it not been for Jericho's well-timed push, Hardy would have fallen back right on top of his head.
Lessons the champion's chances of keeping the title.
And I know I can beat Hardy.
Hard risk. Hardy getting ready to take a chance. Man, that could have been a...
Number 9. Sami Zayn. In terms of well-timed spots, I've seen few better done than Shane McMahon's leap off the top of Hell in a Cell at the titular pay-per-view back in 2017. During a match against Kevin Owens, KO found himself laid out across the announcer's desk with Shane O'Mac dozens of feet in the air above him. The plan for the spot was to have Sami Zayn come in and pull Owens to safety, but only to start moving after Shane jumped. There is literally zero space between the time Owens is off of the table and Shane's finally hitting it, meaning had Sami been even a quarter second late on his pull, Owens would have had Shane McMahon flying directly down on top of his head.
Oh, my God!
Oh, Sami Zayn just saved Kevin Owens!
Number 8. Fandango. Cody Rhodes versus Fandango in 2013. That sounds like the most possible mid-card match ever conceived. Years before Cody would reinvent himself and bring about All Elite Wrestling, Fandango would actually be the star in this match, as don't forget, this is the year he beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. And you know what? With a save like this, why not? Cody hits the turnbuckle and attempts a moonsault, but miscalculates his jump and doesn't go nearly far back enough. Fandango was a good few feet away, but leapt forward just in time to break Cody's fall.
And Cody's going up top for the moonsault! Oh, man!
Number 7. Seth Rollins. In this clip, Seth Rollins saves Seth Rollins. Actually, Roman kind of does, as apparently he's the one who shouts at Seth what's about to happen. But Jesus, dude. Jesus. He was legitimately a second away from losing his entire career, possibly even his life. During a cage match on Monday Night Raw pitting Roman Reigns against Randy Orton, Rollins tried sneaking his way in with a steel chair before suddenly dipping out whilst halfway up the ring. If you weren't paying close attention, you might have been a bit confused by Seth's actions. I was the first time I watched it, but upon some closer inspection, you'll notice a massive spike coming down used to lock the cage into place, like an inch away from Rollins' back before he noticed and dipped the rightful out of there.
The steel cage continues to come down. Roman Reigns attacking Orton. Rollins with a steel chair slipping under the steel.
He can't make it. He can't make it.
Number 6. Ryback. While Ryback's WWE career was nothing special, at least he went out on a pretty damn great match. Ryback versus Kalisto sounds like 2016's version of Cody versus Dongo, but this pre-show stopper was actually a really fantastic match with an incredibly memorable botch turned to save by Ryback. Kalisto likes to go all flippy, but he's also very botch prone, something that kicked in as he did a spinning plancha that, had it not been for Ryback's great catch, could have ended terribly.
Style known as dynamic velocity that Kalisto loves to utilize. Watch out, Ryback!
Wow! Corkscrew plancha!
You kidding me?
Number 5. AJ Styles. If I was forced at gunpoint to wrestle anyone once, it would probably have to be AJ Styles. I praise Jericho for his in-ring awareness and taking care of wrestlers, but I don't think there's ever been a wrestler better at that than AJ himself. And plus, you know, he could actually make that a watchable match somehow. In fact, the only dangerous part of working with AJ Styles is taking his occasional finisher, the Styles Clash, as it's one of the very few moves in wrestling that you move your head backwards to take instead of tucking your head in. James Ellsworth forgot about this during their little rivalry and whilst taking the move, tucked his head down. Had AJ not noticed and worked around it while already airborne, all in the span of about half a second, Ellsworth could have easily had his neck snapped.
AJ Styles looking to put the finishing touches on James Ellsworth with the Styles Clash. Oh, man!
Number 4, Shawn Michaels. Next is a blink and you'll miss it entry that, to be honest, it doesn't even look like a save. If it hadn't been for Mysterio himself coming out in an interview, I probably wouldn't have even noticed, but during a match pitting Mysterio against Shawn Michaels, Ray gets to the top rope and recreates the fantastic Shelton Benjamin Sweet Chin music spot. You know, the leap into a kick. It looks amazing, and despite the fact that Shelton's came first, I'll be damned if the shot to Ray doesn't look way better. According to Ray, there's a good reason it looks so realistic. He jumped a little bit too far, and had Michaels actually put any oomph behind that cook, could have easily done severe damage to Ray's head and especially his neck. Hell, the move already looks like it's borderline decapitating Mysterio, and according to the man himself, it just about did.
Rey Mysterio digging deep in the gas. Right into Sweet Chin music.
Number 3, Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the god of wrestling for a period of time. He could do no wrong to such an extent that he turned what should have clearly been chicken to chicken salad. SummerSlam 92, one of the most iconic matches in WWE's history, as Bret Hart battles the British Bulldog in the first ever major pay-per-view to take place outside of North America, in Bulldog's home turf no less. They knew this. This is the Intercontinental Championship match, and it main evented over the WWF title. That's how big this was. The match is a classic that still holds up to this day. 25 minutes of solid in-ring action. So good, you might not realize Bulldog was pretty out of it. I'm not sure if he was high during the match itself, but Hart's come out and confirmed that he tried desperately to craft a perfect match with his brother-in-law, but his calls weren't being returned, and Bulldog later admitted to spending the weeks prior smoking crack. Going into the match, Bulldog forgot the entire planned match. 25 minutes of action, and he didn't remember a single spot. Hart had to call all of it on the fly. There's saving wrestlers from injury, and then there's saving wrestlers from ruining one of the greatest matches of all time.
Unbelievable intestinal fortitude on the part of both participants. Sunset flip.
Number 2, The Undertaker. This clip, oh, it's so slick, I don't even need to comment on it. Just watch Taker's leg over on the right side of the screen. Jeez, this guy is a pro.
And what a fist through the chair on the Big Show! The look, the intensity in the eyes! Oh no, not Angles!
And number 1, Curt Hennig. Wow. They really did not call Curt Hennig Mr. Perfect for no reason. He lived that gimmick to quite an extent. It's WCW Nitro, and Chris Jericho is taking on Curt Hennig in a standard wrestling match. Hennig's laid out across the mat, and Jericho running across him, does a little leap over. We all know where this is headed. It is lion salt time. Jericho hits that middle rope, goes for the backflip, but he doesn't get enough of a push and ends up just sort of leaping backwards. The trajectory that he was on, the way his body was turning, had it not been for someone being inside of the ring, Jericho was landing directly on top of his head at a very bad angle, likely paralyzing himself. Thankfully, Curt Hennig was there, and I mean it when I say this, he had a literal perfect save lined up for Y2J. So simple, just sticking his legs out, but the exact placement of his legs, the way he kept his knees away from all the vital organs on Jericho, it's just perfect.
And another very important thing, now Bret Hitman Hart's on board, probably the top 1-2 greatest wrestlers in the world.
And those are 10 times wrestlers saved wrestlers. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below after liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and notifications and that bell.